ほら、ルフィ、今一緒に海賊になる仲間を探してるんだ。
Hello guys, welcome to my channel The Wandering Zoro, your go-to destination for anime-related content. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. In today's video, we're going to be diving the series What If Quirkless Izuku was granted mysterious strength that was feared by everyone. So be sure to stick around until the end, and let's get started. Name: Izuku Midoriya. Alias/hero name: the White Cape Twofold Hero, Deku Man. Age: 15 to 16 UA. First year range: height civilian, 166 centimeters, 5'5", skinny build. Height hero form, 178 centimeters, 5'10", wiry muscular build. BLD type: O. Quirk: muscle augmentation twofold manifestation / did linked transformation. Civilian status: general education student / UA hero course candidate. Primary role: frontline powerhouse, close quarters brawler, civilian shield. Secondary role: morale support, dual perspective strategist. Hero archetype: dual aspect symbol / transformation guardian. Origin and biography: Izuku Midoriya started life as background noise. Quirkless, painfully skinny, and easy to push around, he blended into the scenery of a modest apartment and an overworked, overworried mother. Inko Midoriya loved him fiercely, but love doesn't stop playground hierarchies. Bullies quickly learned he wouldn't fight back, and for years, he ate every insult and beating like it was just the way things were. He coped the only way he knew how. Hero analysis notebooks, obsessively watching pro heroes, and quietly wishing he could be that kind of person someday. Everything changed the day the bullying finally crossed a line. Pinned down, humiliated, something inside Izuku snapped and awakened at the same time. His body detonated with power. Bones lengthened, muscles surged, his spine straightened. In seconds, he went from frail to track athlete sharp tall, lean, coiled with strength. His voice dropped, his posture squared, and his expression cooled into something razor-focused and fearless. Then he stood up and dominated the same bullies who'd owned his life for years. And just as suddenly as it came, the transformation vanished. His body shrank. His frame deflated. Steam rolled off him. Glasses slipped down his nose. The terrified, apologizing Izuku was back where the unstoppable fighter had stood seconds earlier. Doctors eventually gave it a name and a complication. Physically, he had a powerful full-body muscle augmentation quirk. Mentally, the manifestation had fractured his identity, resulting in dissociative identity disorder. His powered form didn't just boost his muscles, it carried a second persona. Deku: confident, charismatic, noble, heroic to the core. Everything Izuku admired. Everything he believed he wasn't. Once the panic and hospital visits calmed, life got weirdly better. No one dared touch him again. Word spread fast that the quirkless punching bag was anything but. At home, Inko adjusted almost overnight, treating the situation less like a horror story and more like she was suddenly raising two sons in one body. There were awkward dinner table negotiations about who got which side of the bed, who handled homework, who did the dishes. Training became a joint project, Izuku studying quirk theory and planning routines, while Deku executed those plans with terrifying efficiency. What could have been a horror show became something else. Two people choosing to be one hero. By the time UA enters the picture, they're practiced, coordinated, and stable. Izuku's no longer just a scared kid with a dangerous quirk. Deku is no longer just a mask of power. Together, they're a twofold hero system in one body, and society has absolutely no idea what it's about to deal with. Personality. Civilian personality: Izuku Midoriya. Izuku is the soft half of the equation: quiet, anxious, and endlessly considerate. He overthinks everything: his words, his expression, his hand placement when he waves. He apologizes constantly, bows a little too low, and tries to take up as little space as possible. Years of bullying taught him to fold himself in, to become non-threatening, to avoid drawing fire. Underneath that timid shell is ridiculous, underappreciated courage. He's the kind of person who trembles while still stepping forward, who cries and still tries, who will absolutely throw himself into danger if someone else is cornered, even if he's terrified. Empathy drives everything he does. If someone's hurting, he feels it like a physical weight. He's also quietly brilliant. Izuku is a natural analyst with a mind tuned to patterns, quirk structures, combat habits, rescue logistics. He fills notebooks for fun. He understands cause and effect in battle the way other kids understand video game combos. He just doesn't believe any of that makes him special. His biggest insecurity is existential. If his quirk literally turns him into someone better, does that mean he isn't enough? That's the wound he rarely shows. The idea that everyone might prefer Deku. The fear that he'll always be the before picture to his own hero form. What keeps him stable is Deku himself, a second self who deliberately, consistently treats Izuku as the source, not the side character. Izuku is the heart, the conscience, and the strategic core of their shared life. He's not the costume. He's the man inside it. Heroic personality, Deku man. Deku is the ideal made flesh the hero Izuku drew as a kid and then accidentally turned into a living identity. When the transformation hits, everything about him shifts. Posture, upright, open, and commanding. Voice, deeper, smooth, and steady. Presence, unmistakably heroic. He carries himself like a golden age superhero updated for modern reality, decisive, respectful, utterly unshaken by chaos. He's confident without being arrogant, firm without being cruel. Civilians feel safer the moment he steps in front of them. Children gravitate toward him. Villains immediately recognize he's a problem. Deku fights like a pro. Controlled footwork, efficient combinations, clean lines. Muscle augmentation gives him absurd stats. Deku gives that power DSPLN. Yet for all the power, he never forgets why he exists. Deku doesn't treat Izuku as a weak host or a flaw in the system. He views him as partner, creator, and priority. He openly credits Izuku in conversations, refers to plans as ours, and refuses to make major decisions without Izuku's buy-in. Internally, he is hyper-aware that without Izuku's heart and dreams, he would not exist at all. In public, Deku is the face. But he never lets anyone forget there's a kid behind that cape who bleeds, worries, and matters. Together, they're not a Jekyll and Hyde situation. They're a two-man hero team sharing one life. Flaws and struggles. Identity tension. Izuku worries that people see Deku as the real hero and him as dead weight. Compliments that only target the hero form hit harder than anyone realizes. Over-coordination. Their seamless suching and shared competence can unnerve others. Some pros view their did as a risk instead of an asset. Bottled stress. Izuku internalizes fear, guilt, and insecurity so Deku can stay composed in the field. He rarely vents, which leaves emotional pressure building quietly. Unspoken fear. Deku is terrified that Izuku won't recognize his own worth and that one day, Izuku might wish he didn't exist. Dependency risk. Izuku sometimes leans too heavily on just let Deku handle it, afraid his own presence will make things worse. Public misunderstanding. Media and strangers tend to romanticize Deku and overlook Izuku, feeding the exact narrative they're both trying to dismantle. Physical appearance. Civilian form. Izuku. Build. Short, skinny, undermuscled. Looks more fragile than he really is. Hair. Wild dark green mop with 0 DSPLN. Eyes. Soft green, usually behind round glasses. Skin. Light tone with 4 freckles on each cheek in a diamond pattern. General impression. Timid. Harmless. Perpetually a little overwhelmed, but approachable. Civilian style. Practical, slightly nerdy. Layered shirts, hoodies, simple breathes, round glasses, and his signature bright red high-top boots with thick white soles and black laces. Backpack loaded with notebooks, pens, and hero analysis materials. Hero form. Deku/Deku man. Build. Taller, wiry muscular, track athlete frame with dense power. Hair. Swept back, one stubborn curl in front cleaner, sharper silhouette. Eyes. Same green, but sharper and more focused. Presence. Lightly towering. Confidence and calm baked into every movement. Casual hero form style out of costume. More jock-coated. Varsity jackets, fitted shirts. Casual athletic wear, most notably a jacket or shirt emblazoned with plus ultra across the back. Same iconic red boots. Hero costume. The white cape two-fold hero. The costume is engineered to accommodate rapid, full-body transformations. Base suit. Dark green bodysuit with black paneling. Made from flexible, expansion-ready fibers that stay snug in hero form and hang looser in civilian state. Gloves. Beige with yellow studs for grip, impact stabilization, and visual identity. Wristbands. Blue-trimmed bands echoing classic heroic iconography. Boots. Iron-soled, reinforced versions of his red high tops for enhanced traction and shock absorption. Knee pads. Built-in protection for high-speed landings and sliding maneuvers. Utility belt. Red, carrying comms gear, first aid, and containment tools. Cape. White, fire-resistant, tear-away, weighted just enough to flow dramatically without tangling in motion. Used for visual misdirection, shielding civilians, and because both Izuku and MidoriIkaru agree, heroes look better in capes. Quirk and powers. Quirk, muscle augmentation. Type, full-body transformation/enhancement. Classification, binary Titan form, did-linked amplification. Description, muscle augmentation turns Izuku's entire body into a high-output engine in one explosive shift. There is no partial mode. It's either civilian Izuku, underpowered body, standard human stats. Hero MidoriIkaru, fully amped Titan form. When activated, every muscle fiber in his body expands, hardens, and supercharges at once. He grows taller, gains massive yet functional muscle density, and his internal structure recalibrates for absurd output. The transformation brings with it MidoriIkaru's personality to the front, tying Quirk's state and identity together. Despite the always 100% nature of the form, he can still regulate his force. The engine is maxed, but he controls the throttle on every punch, step, or movement. At full application, MidoriIkaru is built to go toe-to-toe with top-tier monsters and simply not break. Core augmented attributes. Collision immense strength. Lifting multi-thousand-ton objects is trivial. His true ceiling is far higher. Punches create localized shockwaves that can flatten structures, rupture terrain, and send heavy enemies flying a ridiculous distance. Claps, stomps, or shoulder checks can function as area of effect attacks. At full intent, direct hits shift from knockout to incident. Everyone moves, everything moves. High voltage immense speed. Despite the bulk, MidoriIkaru's muscles behave like loaded springs. He hits bursts of speed that blur him out of normal vision, breaking the sound barrier with aggressive movement. Can cross a battlefield in an instant, circle opponents, or reposition allies quickly. Dodges mid-attack, re-angles in the air, and treats distance like a minor suggestion. Person cartwheeling immense agility. Moves like a gymnast trapped in a tank's body. Can pivot, flip, and reorient in confined spaces without losing stability. Enhanced joints, tendons, and reflexes support instantaneous direction changes. Combined with speed and strength, this makes him brutally hard to predict. He doesn't fight like a big guy. Shield immense durability. Skin, muscle, and bone density allow him to shrug off high-caliber rounds, heavy blunt trauma, crushing pressure, and large-scale explosions. Internal structures withstand the force of his own output without catastrophic self-damage. He can serve as a literal human shield, taking hits for others and walking through things meant to kill. Normal abilities. Izuku civilian front. Genius-level intelligence. Specializes in quirk analysis, combat pattern recognition, and adaptive planning. Processes information quickly and quietly, feeding MidoriIkaru critical insight. Tactile strategist. Build strategies out of real-time observation, stance, breathing patterns, body language. Plans are practical, not theoretical. MidoriIkaru hero front. Charisma. Radiates warmth and command. Speaks with a natural heroic cadence that calms civilians and rallies allies. Intimidation. When he squares his shoulders and drops the softness from his tone, villains feel it immediately. There's no bluff, just controlled, overwhelming presence. Basic hand-to-hand combat. Clean, efficient, no wasted motion. He uses simple technique backed by ridiculous stats to end fights quickly and decisively. Leadership. Instinctively steps into command roles, placing allies, calling priorities, balancing offense and protection. Others fall in line because he clearly knows what he's doing. Shared traits both. Indomitable will. Whether it's Izuku trembling or Deku standing tall, neither of them backs down from someone who needs saving. Their refusal to quit is identical. High pain tolerance. They both fight through damage, broken ribs, bruises, strain without letting it derail the mission. Loyalty. Once someone is their family, friend, classmate, mentor, they will burn themselves out before they let that person fall. Warm heart. Same core. Same kindness. One quiet, one loud, but both driven by a deep need to help. Heroism isn't a performative mask. It's the shared center they orbit. Izuku Midoriya started life as background noise. He was small, skinny, and easily pushed around. Most days he walked through school trying to make himself even smaller, pulling his backpack close and keeping his eyes down. His shoes were a little too big, his sleeves hung past his wrists, and he always looked like he wasn't sure he was allowed to exist in the hallway. Kids with bright quirks ran around him without even noticing he was there. Home wasn't perfect, but it was calmer. The apartment was tiny and a little messy, and his mom was always rushing somewhere. But Inko Midoriya never forgot to greet him. She'd look up from whatever she was cooking or folding and say, "Izuku, welcome home," with a tired smile. He'd smile back and say, "It was okay today," even if he had another bruise hiding under his sleeve. He didn't want her to worry more than she already did. School was where everything fell apart. Kids showed off their quirks like it was part of breathing. Sparks, floating objects, stretchy limbs, everyone had something. Everyone but him. Izuku kept his head low and hoped to slip through the day unnoticed. It never worked. "There he is," someone behind him said. "Deku," another voice added. Izuku froze for a split second, then forced himself to keep walking. His shoulders tightened. He hoped just for once they'd leave him alone. A hand yanked him back by the strap of his backpack. He stumbled and turned to see Bakugo staring at him like he was something stuck to the bottom of his shoe. "Kaken, please, not today," Izuku said. Bakugo smirked. "What? You got somewhere important to be?" "Oh wait, you don't." The boy next to him snorted. "Still quirkless, huh?" Izuku looked down. "Yeah." Bakugo tilted his head. "You know what's crazy? You actually look like you. Think things will get better for you." Izuku opened his mouth to say something, but one of the boys grabbed from his backpack and pulled out a notebook. "Hero analysis for the future," he read out loud, mocking every word. "Dude, seriously?" Izuku reached for it. "Give that back. Please, I worked really hard on." Bakugo snatched the notebook and held it out of his reach. "Relax, Deku. I'm just giving you a reality check." Izuku shook his head. "Kaken, don't." Bakugo threw the notebook straight into a puddle. It landed with a splash, and the other kids laughed as they walked away. Izuku didn't say anything. He just crouched down and picked up the ruined notebook. Water dripped down his hands. The pages were soaked and falling apart. His diagrams and notes blurred into mushy lines. He whispered, "I can fix it," even though he didn't know how. Later, during break, he sat alone at his desk with tissues everywhere, trying to blot the notebook dry. He focused so hard on the pages that he didn't hear someone walk up. "You okay?" a girl asked. Izuku didn't look up. "Yeah, I'm fine." She stood there for another second before walking away. Izuku let out a breath and touched one of the pages that wasn't completely destroyed. It had rough sketches of All Might's footwork and notes about rescue timing. His handwriting was smudged, but he knew what it used to say. "I just want to be like them," he muttered under his breath. "Heroes. Someone who helps people." The room was quiet around him. Izuku turned another damp page and kept working, even though it barely made a difference. Izuku mutters, "Kaken, what happened to you?" He asked quietly. "You weren't always like this. You used to be my friend." For a moment, everything stopped. Bakugo's face twitched just a flicker like the words hit a place he didn't want anyone touching. His eye twitched. His jaw locked. Then the anger came crashing back twice as hard. "The hell did you just say to me?" His hands exploded with sharp pops of light. A loud crack echoed down the hall, and a teacher yelled from another room, "Hey, who's using a quirk in the hallway?" Bakugo didn't care. He stepped forward, explosions flashing in his palms. "You don't get to talk like we're equals, Deku." Izuku froze. His mistake hit him all at once, and his voice broke as panic overwhelmed him. "Kaken, wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, please don't." Bakugo grabbed him by the front of his shirt and slammed him to the ground. His head hit the tile with a solid thud that made his ears ring. Someone gasped. Another kid stepped back, muttering, "Dude, chill." Bakugo didn't chill. He pinned Izuku down with one knee and hit him in the ribs once, twice, harder the third time. Izuku curled up, hands shaking. Stop please, he begged, voice cracking. I didn't mean it, I'm sorry Kakin, please don't. But Bakugo's voice just got louder. Shut up. You think you can talk to me like that? You think you know anything about me? Another explosion flared right next to Izuku's face, scorching the ground and blasting hot air across his cheek. He let out a terrified cry and covered his head. A classroom door flew open. Hey, knock, a teacher started, but another explosion went off and drowned him out. The smoke set off some kid's quirk alarm on their phone, and a girl screamed from down the hall, "Stop it, Bakugo!" Izuku felt fear swallow him whole. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't think. His heartbeat slammed in his ears, and something deep inside him buried under years of fear finally cracked. A hot pressure built in his chest. His vision blurred. A strange ringing grew louder and louder until everything went white. Then, boom, steam blasted out of him like a bomb going off. Bakugo was thrown backward, sliding across the floor. Several kids screamed and stumbled away. The teacher slammed the classroom door shut and yelled, "What is going on out there?" When the steam cleared, Izuku wasn't there. Not the Izuku they knew. Standing in his place was someone taller, way taller. Muscular but wiry, like every nerve in his body was charged and ready to move. His shredded uniform hung off him in pieces. His green hair stuck up in wild, sharp waves. His glasses lay cracked on the floor beside him, and he was wearing nothing but a pair of All Might underwear. He looked down at himself, then at Bakugo, then snorted a low, amused chuckle. "Well," he said, voice deep, smooth, and nothing like the shaking boy from seconds earlier. "This is awkward." Bakugo pushed himself up, eyes wide. Who the hell are you?" The tall boy cracked his knuckles, then smiled a confident, almost playful smile. "You came to the wrong guy today." He moved. It wasn't normal movement. It wasn't even fast, it was instant. One moment, he stood across the hall. The next, he was right in front of Bakugo, fist already driving into his stomach with brutal precision. Bakugo flew back into a locker with a loud crash. Kids screamed. Someone yelled, "Get a teacher." Another shouted, "What is that? Is that Midoriya?" Bakugo tried to stand, but the tall boy was already there, grabbing him by the collar and lifting him clean off the floor. "You like to throw people around, yeah?" The tall boy said, voice calm but firm. "Let's see how you like it." He slammed Bakugo into the ground. Not hard enough to break anything, but hard enough to knock the wind out of him. Bakugo coughed, eyes wide. "Stop. Who are you?" The boy smirked again. "Name's MidoriIkaru," he said simply. "And you should really pick on someone your own size." Then he turned as the other bullies tried to run. One tried to bolt for the stairwell. MidoriIkaru grabbed him by the back of his shirt and swung him into the other two like bowling pins. They collapsed in a tangle of limbs. "Come on, fellas," he said, hands on his hips. "You started this. At least finish strong." But none of them got up. Down the hall, someone screamed for a teacher again. Another kid yelled. Midoriya did that. He transformed. MidoriIkaru rolled his shoulders, the steam still coming off him in faint wisps. Inside, he muttered to himself, half amused. "Man, Izuku is gonna freak out when he wakes up." Steam poured off MidoriIkaru in thick waves, rolling across the cracked hallway floor. At first, the kids thought he was powering up again, but the look on his face said otherwise. His confident grin slipped. His breathing hitched. CRP. "Not now," he muttered, bracing his hands on his knees. His arms began shrinking first, the dense muscle fibers pulling back like someone hit a rewind button on his body. His shoulders narrowed. His height dropped inch by inch. His voice cracked mid-sentence. "Okay, Izuku, buddy, just stay awake." But the steam kept pouring out of him, more and more, until he could barely see his own hands. The cape-like confidence faded completely. Then his legs buckled. His body snapped back to normal with a soft, almost pitiful thump. His baggy, torn clothes swallowed his small frame again. The leftover scraps of fabric slid off him as he collapsed onto his knees, then fell flat to the side like a puppet whose strings were cut. Several students gasped. He turned back. "Hey, he's not moving. What the hell just happened?" Izuku lay on the ground in his ruined shirt and All Might boxers, unconscious, breathing shallowly. His glasses were cracked beside him, one lens missing entirely. His freckles were hidden behind smears of dirt. His fingers twitched once, then went still. Bakugo, still wheezing on the floor, stared at him with a mix of shock and something close to fear. That wasn't Deku, he muttered under his breath. What was that? Hey, teacher finally shoved his classroom door open again. All right, that's enough, good lord, he shouted, rushing to Izuku's side. Somebody call the nurse. No, call an ambulance. Now. Students scrambled. Phones came out. Someone yelled, he's not waking up. Another said, he was huge, I swear. Like another person. No one knew what to do but crowd around. The teacher crouched beside the unconscious boy, checking his pulse. He's alive, but he's burning up and freezing at the same time? What happened to him? We told you. A kid cried. He transformed into this big guy. And then he fought Bakugo. And then he just shrunk. Bakugo flinched, but said nothing. Within minutes, the faint sound of sirens grew louder. Red and blue lights flashed against the hallway windows. 2 paramedics rushed inside with a stretcher. What we got? One asked, kneeling. Male student, mid-teens, collapsed after something. Possible quirk exhaustion, possible trauma. The paramedic gently lifted Izuku's arm. It flopped limply. He's completely out, he said. Get a stabilizer under his neck. Let's move. They lifted Izuku carefully onto the stretcher. His head lolled to the side. Someone draped a spare gym towel over him, so he wasn't half naked in front of the whole school. The hallway was dead silent as the paramedics pushed him toward the exit. One student whispered, "Is he going to be okay?" Another replied, I don't know. Bakugo stared down at his own hands, still faintly smoking from earlier. He didn't look angry anymore. He looked shaken. And Izuku, unconscious and unaware of the chaos he'd caused, was rolled into the ambulance as the doors slammed shut. The sirens wailed, and the ambulance sped off. Transition. Inko practically sprinted through the hospital doors the second she arrived. She didn't even wait for the receptionist to finish pointing. She followed the room number on the slip of paper like her life depended on it. Her purse smacked against her hip with every frantic step. When she pushed open the door, her breath caught in her throat. There he was, her little boy. Izuku lay in the hospital bed, small and pale, his messy green hair spread across the pillow. Ice packs were tucked under his arms, on his forehead, along his ribs. A thin blanket covered him, but she could still see how skinny he was, how fragile he looked. His chest rose and fell in slow, steady breaths. He looked peaceful, too peaceful, like he hadn't just terrified her half to death. "Oh, Izuku," she whispered, walking to his bedside and brushing a hand through his hair. "My sweet boy." He didn't respond, not even a twitch. A soft knock came at the door, and the doctor stepped in, a middle-aged man with tired eyes and a clipboard tucked under his arm. "Mrs. Midoriya?" Inko turned quickly. Yes, that's me. Is he all right? Is he in pain? He's okay," the doctor assured, raising a hand. "He's actually stable, breathing normally. No internal bleeding, no fractures." He glanced at Izuku. "He's just worn out." Inko blinked. "Worn out? How does a child collapse like this from being worn out?" The doctor sighed and came closer. "Ma'am, it seems your son experienced something called quirk exhaustion." Inko stared. "But he doesn't have a quirk." The doctor gave her a sympathetic look. "From what the school described and what we saw during examination, he does now. Or, rather, it seems he did all along. It just took a long time to activate." Inko's hand froze in Izuku's hair. "He manifested? Today?" "We believe so," the doctor said. "And because it built up for so long without an outlet, the first activation was extremely intense. His body wasn't ready for it. Think of it like running a marathon you never trained for." He pointed to the ice packs. His temperature shot up. His muscles overworked themselves in seconds. The steam effect he produced is consistent with sudden, full-body quirk activation. But the good news? He gave her a small smile. This was simple quirk exhaustion. Scary, but not dangerous long-term. Inko let out a shaky breath and covered her mouth. "Oh, thank goodness. He just needs rest," the doctor said. "Lots of it. Once he wakes up, he may feel sore and confused. That's normal." Inko nodded, tears pooling in her eyes but not falling. She sat down beside the bed and gently took Izuku's hand. Did he really have a quirk all this time?" she whispered. "It appears so," the doctor said softly. "Some quirks activate late. But it's strong. Very strong. Whatever happened at school today, it pushed his body past its limit. Honestly, it's remarkable he stayed conscious as long as he did." Inko squeezed Izuku's hand tighter. My boy, my sweet Izuku. You didn't have to push yourself that hard. The doctor placed the chart at the foot of the bed. He'll wake up soon. If you need anything, push the call button. When he left, the room grew quiet again. Inko leaned forward, pressing a soft kiss to Izuku's forehead. I'm right here, she whispered. You're safe. You're going to be okay. I promise. Izuku didn't wake, but his fingers twitched gently against her hand. Transition. Izuku's eyes fluttered open slowly, like someone was pulling him up from underwater. The ceiling above him was bright and unfamiliar. The smell of disinfectant told him everything before he even moved. He was in a hospital. He sat up a little too fast and winced. His ribs hurt, his head throbbed, an ice pack slid off his chest and lap. Oh no. Oh no. No. No, he whispered, panic rising. Mom, Kak, and the teachers, what did I do? Are they upset? Is Mom okay? Did I get expelled? Before he could fully spiral, a calm, warm voice spoke inside his head. Relax, Izuku. Everything's fine. You're safe. Izuku froze. His eyes widened. His breath caught in his throat. That wasn't his voice. That wasn't anything he'd ever heard before. He shot straight upright, looking around the room wildly. Hello? Who said that? Only the heart monitor beeped back. He swallowed hard and whispered again. Who's there? Easy, kid. Don't freak out. You've had one hell of a day. The voice was steady, smooth, kind. Strong in that big brother, everything is under control way. It held confidence that Izuku never had. It wasn't mocking or cold, it was reassuring, which somehow made it even scarier. Izuku hugged his knees to his chest, eyes darting around. I don't see anyone. Where are you? Are you invisible? A nurse? A doctor? Am I still dreaming? Nope. You're awake. Izuku stiffened. And I'm not a doctor. Or invisible. I'm you. Sort of. Izuku blinked hard. What? That doesn't make sense. I'm not talking like that. And you sound like a totally different person. Yeah, that's kind of the point. I'm the other you. The one who woke up earlier today. The tall guy. The one who saved your butt. Izuku's BLD ran cold. His breath hitched. T-tall guy? Images flashed in his head steam. The hallway, Bakugo flying back, shredded clothes, his All Might underwear, and a deeper voice laughing. Izuku swallowed. That was me? That was us. But mostly me. Don't worry, we'll go through it slowly. You've been carrying a lot for a long time. I'm here to help. The voice was gentle, genuinely trying to calm him down. Izuku stared at the sheets, trembling. What are you? A warm chuckle echoed through his mind. I'm MidoriIkaru, and I've got your back, little man. Izuku didn't know whether to scream, faint, or cry. He whispered one more shaky question into the quiet hospital room. Why can I hear you in my head? Because, Izuku, the voice said warmly, confidently, proudly. You're not alone. Anymore. Izuku sat there for a long moment, clutching the blanket and trying not to hyperventilate. His chest rose and fell too fast, but slowly, very slowly, he forced himself to breathe in through his nose and out through his mouth. Okay, he whispered shakily. Okay, just calm down. Just breathe. Attaboy. That's it. Nice and steady. The voice MidoriIkaru sounded patient, like he'd done this before, even though that was impossible. Izuku nodded to himself, still trembling, but at least upright. Once he felt steady enough, he whispered. See. Can you, introduce yourself? Properly? You said your name was MidoriIkaru? Yeah, MidoriIkaru. The voice smiled through the sound alone, warm, familiar, unshakably positive. And before you ask, no, you're not imagining me. And no, I'm not a ghost or some random guy who wandered in. I'm you. Kind of. I'm the part of you that stands up straight instead of curling into a ball. The part that actually believes in you. The part that wants to help people, not just write about it. Izuku's breath hitched. I used to imagine calling myself that, he admitted quietly. When I was little, I thought it sounded like something a real hero would use. Yeah, I know. That's why I chose it. You already believed in the name. You just didn't believe it could belong to you. Izuku felt his throat tighten like he wanted to cry, but the feeling was too big to come out. His hands shook as he pulled the blanket closer. So what are you? He asked. A quirk? A personality? A hallucination? Hey, let's rule out hallucination, all right? You're doing fine. Izuku let out a weak, embarrassed squeak. As for what I am, think of me as your other half. The part of you that finally woke up when you were pushed too far. You've carried fear for so long that your strength got stuck behind it. I'm that strength. But I'm not here to take over anything. I'm here to help you. With everything. Izuku wiped under his eyes with the back of his hand. That sounds nice. We'll figure it out together. And besides, his tone shifted into excited fan mode. Dude, we both love All Might. That alone makes us a solid team. Izuku blinked in surprise. You love All Might too? Are you kidding me? Did you see the way he handled that train rescue in '08? Perfection. Absolute perfection. Also, you have at least 30 pages of notes describing how his footwork works during multiple villain fights. I'm literally made out of your hero obsession. Izuku's cheeks flushed pink. I don't have that many pages. Buddy, we could wallpaper this hospital room with your All Might notes. Izuku let out a tiny laugh despite himself. Oh, okay, fair. And quirks? You're brilliant when you talk about quirks. I could listen for hours. Izuku stared at his blanket. Nobody ever says that to me. Well, get used to it. I'm not going anywhere. Izuku's heart warmed, confused but comforted. For the first time all day, he felt safe, deeply safe, like someone was finally standing beside him instead of behind him. He whispered, "Thanks, MidoriIkaru. Anytime, Izuku. Anytime." Then, a quiet voice came from the doorway. Izuku? Izuku jumped so hard, he nearly fell out of the bed. Inko stood frozen in the doorway, her hands over her mouth, eyes wide with worry. Behind her, the doctor stood stiffly with a clipboard, eyebrows raised so high they were practically above his hairline. They had been standing there for who knows how long. Izuku blinked rapidly. His mom blinked back. The doctor cleared his throat. Izuku, he said slowly. Who exactly were you talking to just now? Izuku went pale. MidoriIkaru went very quiet. Izuku forced a nervous smile that absolutely fooled no one. Huh? Inko had gone full panic mode. She paced back and forth beside the bed, wringing her hands, speaking faster with every breath. Izuku, sweetie, please tell me you're okay. Why were you talking like that? Do you hear voices regularly? Why didn't you tell me? If you do, are you stressed? Did something happen? Oh my goodness. Were you hiding symptoms? Do we need a therapist? Did the school do something? Mom. Please, Izuku said, shrinking into the blankets. I'm not. My brain isn't. There's nothing wrong with me. I wasn't talking to myself. He immediately realized that made it worse. Inko gasped. So you were talking to someone? Izuku, there's nobody here. Izuku flailed. No, not like that. I mean, yes, but I mean in OUG this sounds so bad. Buddy, you're crashing and burning. Not helping. Izuku hissed under his breath. Inko froze. Did you just say not helping to me? Izuku slapped a hand over his mouth. Yes. No. I mean, Mom, I promise I'm okay. Inko let out a choked noise and sat down, fanning herself with a hospital brochure. The doctor, who had been watching this whole exchange with a professional expression that slowly melted into subtle concern, stepped forward at last. Mrs. Midoriya, he said gently, how about you take a moment to breathe? Let me speak with Izuku for a minute. Inko reluctantly nodded and sat beside the bed, eyes still glued to her son. The doctor pulled a small rolling stool close and sat down in front of Izuku, flipping open his clipboard. All right, Izuku, he began calmly. I'm going to ask you a few simple questions. Try to answer honestly, okay? Izuku nodded, but he looked like he wanted to crawl under the mattress and disappear. It's normal, the doctor continued, after a late and powerful quirk awakening, for the brain to experience stress. Hallucinations, voices, brief disorientation, these things can happen. I'm not hallucinating. Izuku said, too fast. I swear. The doctor nodded slowly, not dismissive, but cautious. Okay, then help me understand. Who were you talking to just now? Izuku stiffened. His mind scrambled for the right word, something that made sense, something that wouldn't put him on a psych evaluation form. I was talking to someone. That much I gathered, the doctor said. Someone who isn't physically in the room? Izuku swallowed. Yes? Inko covered her mouth again. Oh dear. Mrs. Midoriya, the doctor said without looking back. Deep breaths. She inhaled shakily. The doctor kept his eyes on Izuku. Is this someone telling you to do things? Izuku shook his head. No. He's not scary or anything. He's nice. He's just like, I don't know, he's like a voice? But not like a scary voice. He's more like a nice voice. Wow. Thanks for the raving review. Izuku's face turned bright red. Not now. Inko nearly fainted. The doctor held up a hand. Izuku, did you just respond to him again? Izuku squeezed his eyes shut. I don't know how to explain it. He's part of me. I think. He said he is. He helped me earlier, when I changed. He said his name is Deku. Inko blinked hard. Your imaginary hero name? Izuku nodded quickly. Yes, but he's not imaginary. The doctor rubbed his chin thoughtfully. So this, Deku, speaks to you in full sentences? Like a conversation? Izuku nodded. And you speak back? Izuku nodded again. The doctor leaned back slightly. Interesting. Izuku didn't know if that was a good, interesting, or a bad one. The doctor scribbled a note on his clipboard. Then another. Then a third. Izuku panicked. Please don't write scary stuff. Please don't send me to a mental hospital. I swear I'm not dangerous. Inko squeezed his hand. We're not sending you anywhere. Relax, Izuku. He's just taking notes. This guy's not half bad. You stop talking too. The doctor blinked. Izuku, could you maybe tell me exactly what Deku is telling you right now? Izuku covered his face with both hands. This is the worst day of my life. The doctor didn't back off. If anything, he leaned in a little closer, adjusting his glasses like he was shifting into full diagnostic mode. All right, Izuku, he said calmly. I'm going to ask a few more questions. Nothing scary. Just information. Take your time before you answer. Izuku nodded, though he looked like a cornered hamster. First, the doctor said, when did you first hear this voice? Izuku stared at his sheets. Today. After I woke up. Technically I woke up earlier, but close enough. Izuku whispered back, not helping. The doctor scribbled. Inko winced. Second, the doctor continued. Does this voice, your Deku, do things independently of you? Does he control your actions? Izuku shook his head quickly. No. He doesn't force me or anything. He just talks. And sometimes gives advice. And earlier he took over, but not like I blacked out and woke up somewhere weird. More like my body moved because he did. The doctor paused. So he can control the body? Izuku flailed. Not in a scary villain way. I mean, I wasn't awake, so, I guess. But he's really nice. He's like everything I want to be, but I'm not. Inko's face crumpled, but she stayed quiet. The doctor tapped his pen slowly against the clipboard. Third question. Does Deku feel like you? Izuku hesitated. He feels like a version of me, he said honestly. But not the same. He talks different. Stands different. Thinks different. He's brave and trustworthy and cool. And I'm me. Wrong. You're the source. I'm just the loud half. Izuku bit his lip. The doctor looked between Izuku and the air above his head, clearly noting the pattern of Izuku responding to someone only he could hear. Fourth question, he said gently. Do you feel like you and Deku are two separate people? Not just a voice in your head, but truly separate? Izuku swallowed. Yes. That single word landed heavy in the room. The doctor let out a slow breath and closed the chart. Mrs. Midoriya, he said softly, I believe I have a diagnosis. Inko tensed. Is Izuku going to be okay? He will be, the doctor assured. But this is unusual. Izuku tightened his blanket around himself. What is it? The doctor faced him directly. Izuku, you're showing clear signs of a condition called dissociative identity disorder. Izuku blinked. Dissociative? The doctor nodded. It's when a person's identity splits into more than one part to cope with overwhelming stress or trauma. Usually, it's triggered by long-term emotional distress and fear. Izuku lowered his eyes. That tracked a little too well. Inko put a hand over her heart. Oh my God. But, the doctor continued, lifting a finger, your case is different. Izuku frowned. Different how? The doctor sat back slightly, looking genuinely fascinated. Typically, it shows up early in childhood and takes the form of contrasting personalities. Often a Jekyll and Hyde scenario, one shy, one violent. One passive, one aggressive. One scared, one angry. Opposites. He pointed gently toward Izuku's chest. But you? Your second identity manifested with your quirk. And based on everything you've described, he isn't hostile. He isn't abusive. He isn't trying to hurt you or others. Inko blinked. He sounds kind. Izuku nodded weakly. He is. The doctor nodded. This is what makes it unique. Deku isn't a dark opposite. He's supportive, protective, confident where you're insecure, brave where you're anxious. Almost like a superhero persona your mind created to survive everything you've been through. Izuku's eyes widened. That's actually exactly what he feels like. The doctor made one final note. In other words, your quirk activated so powerfully that your mind fractured, but the fracture didn't create a monster. It created a hero. A second identity built out of everything you wished you could be. Izuku stared at his blanket, overwhelmed. So, I have two me's? The doctor nodded. Yes. And if his behavior remains stable, cooperative, and nonviolent, this may not be a disability. He folded his arms. It may become one of your greatest strengths. Inko wiped her eyes. Oh, Izuku. Told you weren't alone, kid. Izuku squeezed his eyes shut. Dikairu? Yeah? Are you really me? The best parts of you. The brave parts. The parts you needed. I didn't show up to ruin your life, Izuku. I showed up to help you live it. Izuku let out a shaky breath. The next afternoon, when Izuku finally had stable vitals, clearer breathing, and had eaten something without shaking, the doctor decided it was time for a controlled test. He stood at the foot of the bed with a tablet in hand, looking both nervous and curious. All right, Izuku, I'd like to try something very simple, he said. If you feel comfortable, try activating your quirk again. Inko instantly grabbed Izuku's hand. Doctor, are you sure this is safe? He nearly burned up last time. Izuku swallowed hard. I think I'm okay now, Mom. And I want to know what's going on too. You got this, little man. I'm right here. Izuku nodded, took a slow breath, and focused. Warmth built in his chest, the same pressure from before, but gentler this time. Steam started curling off his shoulders. His fingers twitched. His vision blurred for a second. Boom. A burst of steam blasted across the room. Papers flew. The doctor jumped back. Inko yelped and covered her face. When the steam cleared, Dikairu stood there. Tall, buff, shirt stretched tight over his chest. Hair spiked back in that sharp, confident style. His eyes bright and focused. He let out a loud, friendly laugh. Now that's more like it. Inko stared up at him like she was seeing a giant made out of her son. Izuku? She whispered. Dikairu grinned. Nope. Still Dikairu, ma'am. Inko blinked rapidly. You're real, oh heavens, oh my goodness. Dikairu stepped forward and scooped her right out of her chair into a huge bear hug. Hi, MOM. Nice to meet you properly. He boomed. Inko squeaked, legs dangling off the floor. Oh, you're very tall, dear. Put mommy down. Dikairu set her back gently. Laughing like this was the best thing that had ever happened to him. The doctor adjusted his glasses with trembling hands. Fascinating. Remarkable. This is unprecedented. Inside Dikairu's mind, Izuku sat in the metaphorical back seat, wide-eyed and overwhelmed. Oh, wow, this feels weird. Why are we so tall? Why is my voice not working? Why did you pick Mom up? Dikairu chuckled in his head. Relax, you're fine. You're safe. This is the quirk doing its job. And I picked her up because she needed a hug. Izuku squeaked mentally. She is going to freak out when we SWCH back. Dikairu shrugged outwardly. Okay, quick status check. He looked at the doctor. He's talking in my head. Very politely, by the way. The doctor scribbled furiously. Incredible. So when you are active, Izuku becomes the internal voice, a secondary consciousness observing and speaking internally. Dikairu nodded. Yup. He rides shotgun. Gives commentary. Worries a lot. Hey. Dikairu smirked. See. He's adorable. Izuku's mental voice groaned. The doctor walked a slow circle around Dikairu, studying him from every angle. And you have full motor control? Independent decision-making? Dikairu put his hands on his hips. I do. But I listen to Izuku. He's the boss. I'm just the more sparkly half. You're sparkly? Metaphorically. Inko stared at the two of them, one in the body, one stuck inside, completely overwhelmed. So you're both my son? She asked weakly. Dikairu leaned in gently, softening his tone. Yes, ma'am. Izuku's my other half. I'm everything he grew up wanting to be, and he's everything good I came from. Inside, Izuku felt himself flush. I can't believe you said that out loud to my mother. She deserves to hear it. And so do you. Inko burst into tears and hugged Dikairu again, though this time, he didn't lift her off the ground. Both of you, you're still my baby. Dikairu chuckled softly. Sorry, Mom. I'm a little bigger now. Please don't call her Mom, yet I'm begging you. Relax, she likes it. The doctor cleared his throat slowly. Izuku, both Izukus, this is one of the rarest quirk manifestations I've ever encountered. You two are a dual consciousness system. You share one body, one quirk, two minds. Deku raised a hand. Basically, when he's out, I'm in. When I'm in, he's out. We swap without losing awareness. Izuku nodded mentally. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. It's like being in the back seat of my own body. But you steer whenever you want. Don't forget that. The doctor finished writing and let out a long breath. This is not a typical quirk or a typical psychological condition. This is something new. But from what I see, you two function together, not against each other. Deku crossed his arms proudly. Teamwork makes the dream work. Please stop embarrassing me. Absolutely not. Inko sighed, wiping tears. My boys, please just stay safe. Deku smiled warmly. We will, Mom. Both of us. Transition. Izuku was cleared the next morning. The doctor made sure his vitals were steady, his temperature normal, and that Deku could swap in safely without collapsing. Once everyone was satisfied, paperwork was signed, and Inko was allowed to take her boys home. First stop, clothes. Izuku stood stiffly in the store dressing area, staring at the oversized heap of shirts and breathes Inko piled into the cart. Everything looked huge on him, way too long, way too wide, and he kept tugging at the sleeves like they were trying to swallow him whole. Mom, this is way too big. Izuku whispered, drowning in a sweatshirt that reached almost to his knees. Inko shook her head firmly. Sweetie, these fit Deku perfectly. And if he needs to talk, you transform immediately. We can't have you bursting out of your normal clothes every time. She has a point. I don't want to hulk out your wardrobe. Izuku blushed. Please don't use the word hulk. Fine. Hero out. Izuku groaned quietly under the giant sweater hood. Inko giggled behind her hand. Look at you. You look adorable. Mom. Izuku muttered, face red. They bought it all anyway: baggy shirts, stretchy joggers, a few belts, and a pack of elastic sweatpants that Inko called transformation-friendly. Izuku called them embarrassing. Deku called them practical. Next stop, glasses. Izuku sat patiently while the optician measured his face. His old glasses had shattered during the fight, so they needed new ones that could pop off during transformation without breaking. The optician held up a pair. These are flexible frame and impact resistant. They should survive, whatever it is your son does. Inko nodded proudly. He transforms into a very big version of himself. The optician blinked. Twice. Oh, well, that's neat. Izuku hid behind his new hoodie. Once they finished shopping, Inko finally drove them home. She fussed from the driver's seat the entire way. Are you comfortable? Do you feel too warm? Too cold? Does your head hurt? Are you dizzy? Izuku? Deku? Either of you? Both of you? I'm fine, Mom. Izuku mumbled. I'm also fine, Mom. Mom. He can hear you. He doesn't need you to. Inko laughed. I'm talking to both my boys. Izuku deflated like a balloon. This is my life now. Yep. And it's great. Once they were home, everything shifted surprisingly fast. Inko took to the situation like it was normal. It was weird. Izuku expected her to be terrified or cautious. Instead, she acted like she'd simply gained a second son overnight. If she wanted to talk to Deku, she'd call down the hallway. Sweetie, can I talk to the tall one? Izuku would sigh, take a breath, steam up. Boom. And Deku would appear in the living room, tall, smiling, and immediately hugging her. Hey, Mom. What's up? Inko would then start fussing over him. Do you need more protein? Should I make a second dinner? You used a lot of energy earlier. Meanwhile, Izuku's mental voice would whine. I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is normal now. Why is she treating you like a whole separate kid? Because I am a whole separate kid. Her second son. You are me. I am you. Yeah, but I'm the cooler version. Stop saying that. Inko would smile at them both, one physically, one mentally. Boys, she'd say, no arguing inside the head, please. It makes you make weird faces. Deku laughed. Izuku groaned. The baggy clothes made it easy too. When Deku popped out, the oversized shirts and breathes stretched perfectly, fitting his tall, muscular frame without tearing. When Izuku shrank back down, everything went loose again, practically swallowing him. It was the strangest new normal imaginable. Inko didn't blink twice. Izuku slowly got used to it. Deku loved it. And life somehow became a 3-person household overnight. 2 weeks passed faster than Izuku expected. Life settled into a strange but steady routine. Izuku and Deku suching off like they were running shifts in the same body. Mornings were usually Izuku's time. Afternoons often belonged to Deku. Evenings were shared, depending on who had the energy or who wanted to talk. They called it their pilot and co-pilot system. If Izuku was the pilot, he controlled the body while Deku rode in the back of his mind, commenting, encouraging, or joking around. When Deku took over, Izuku sat back seat like a passenger in his own skull watching, listening, and sometimes squeaking mentally when Deku did something bold, like wave at a stranger or talk confidently to a cashier. Inko found it adorable. She treated it like she had literally gotten 2 new sons instead of 1. Izuku, her small, anxious, skinny boy. Deku, her tall, buff, charming boy who could lift furniture with one hand. If Deku was in control while Izuku wanted to talk, Deku would relay the messages with his chest puffed out. Mom, Izuku says dinner smells amazing. Stop saying it like that. If Izuku was in control and Deku wanted to speak through him, Izuku would straighten his posture and deepen his voice awkwardly, trying to mimic Deku's tone. Mom, Deku says he wants extra rice. Perfect DLVRY. Very heroic. Stop praising me for that, Izuku muttered out loud. To Inko, it was like watching 2 brothers banter inside one person. And honestly, she adored it. City Hall had updated Izuku's public quirk registration too. He was now officially listed as Quirk, Muscle Augmentation Twofold Manifestation Variant. Type, Full Body Transformation. Notes, Dual Consciousness Activation Pattern. The clerk behind the counter had been extremely confused, but the paperwork went through. Everything seemed good. Normal, well, they're normal. But as the second week ended, Izuku woke up one morning sitting on the couch, wearing huge sweatpants and a loose t-shirt that hung off him like a curtain. Deku had been pilot the night before, and Izuku must have suched back while sleeping. He hugged his knees on the couch and sighed. Deku sensed the mood shift immediately. All right, little man. Spill it. Something's eating you. Izuku rested his chin on his knees. School starts again soon. Oh, that. Izuku nodded, staring at the wall. I don't know what everyone's going to think, he said softly. I passed out. Turned into a totally different person, wrecked half the hallway, went to the hospital, and Kakin. He winced. He's going to be furious. Or weird. Or both. So what? We can handle him. Izuku groaned. Not helping. Okay. Serious mode. Deku's voice softened. Izuku, you don't have to face school alone anymore. I'm here. Always. And if someone starts trouble, we SWCH. Simple. Izuku hugged himself tighter. But what if people think I'm dangerous? Or weird? Or broken? There was a pause. Then Deku spoke, gentle and steady. Izuku, listen to me. You're strong. You're brave. And none of this makes you broken. It makes you you. Izuku blinked quietly. And if anyone at school doesn't get that, Deku added, they'll learn. And we'll teach them together. Izuku felt a warm swell in his chest. You really think we can handle it? He whispered. I know we can handle it. We've already handled way worse. Izuku slowly nodded. Maybe it'll be okay. It will be. And if you ever get scared. Yeah, Izuku said softly, I know. You'll be right there. Always. Izuku took a shakier but steadier breath. Tomorrow, he'd have to walk back into school. 2 people in one body. One nervous, one fearless. And absolutely no idea how everyone would react. Transition. Izuku stood in front of the school gates, tugging nervously at the sleeves of his oversized uniform. The blazer hung off him like a blanket, the breaths bunched awkwardly at his ankles, and the collar kept sliding sideways no matter how many times he fixed it. Okay, he whispered under his breath. Let's just get through today. Deku, please try to stay put. At least until lunch. I can try, Deku answered, voice warm but clearly amused. But hey, if anybody starts something, I'm tagging in. Immediately. No hesitation. Please don't. Please don't. We're trying to be normal. You are normal. I'm the fun bonus feature. Izuku groaned quietly and adjusted his backpack. As soon as he stepped through the gate, dozens of eyes turned toward him. Some kids whispered behind hands. Others pretended not to stare, failing miserably. A few straight up froze mid-step like they were seeing a ghost. That's him, right? Midoriya, he's the one who exploded into that giant guy. He threw Bakugo like 10 feet. I heard he has 2 personalities. No, dude. I heard he's possessed. Izuku's face burned red. He walked faster. Ignore them, kid. They don't know us. But it was hard to ignore. Every step felt heavier. Every whisper dug under his skin. And every time someone glanced at him, the memory of the fight blasted back into his head, steam, shouting, Bakugo slamming him down, his own scream. He shivered. By the time he reached homeroom, he felt sick. He slid the door open. The room quieted instantly. He froze in place. The teacher stood at the front, arms crossed. Midoriya, welcome back. Hi. Izuku muttered, bowing stiffly. Before class begins, the teacher said firmly, students are not permitted to question Midoriya about the incident. We've been instructed to treat it as a private quirk matter. Which means he looked around sharply. No rumors. No interrogations. No crowding. A few students sank into their seats guiltily. Izuku exhaled shakily and moved toward his desk. But someone was staring so hard it felt physical. Bakugo. He sat at his desk, arms crossed, jaw clenched, eyes locked on Izuku like he was trying to burn a hole through his skull. It wasn't his usual angry glare. This one was sharper, confused, off balance, almost threatened. Izuku's steps faltered. Bakugo shifted forward in his seat, eyes narrowing even more. Izuku swallowed hard and sat down. The whole time, Bakugo didn't look away. Inside Izuku's mind, Dekiru's tone changed, calmer, but edged with something fierce. He's the reason you snapped that day. He hurt you. For years. Izuku's heart pounded. Please don't do anything. Not here. I won't. But, Izuku? Yeah? I really want to settle this score. Izuku buried his face in his oversized sleeves. Please don't. Not now. Maybe not ever. Dekiru sighed. You're too kind for your own good. Izuku curled into his desk a little more. Across the room, Bakugo's leg bounced, impatient, restless, almost twitchy. He looked less like a king on a throne and more like someone preparing for a confrontation he wasn't sure he could win. Izuku tried to ignore him, but Dekiru didn't. He's scared of us, Dekiru murmured. And honestly, good. Izuku flinched internally. No, I don't want him scared. I just want him to stop. Dekiru paused. That's why you needed me. Izuku didn't respond. Not while the back of his neck prickled under Bakugo's stare. Not while the whispers outside the room resurfaced in his ears. Not while he felt like a problem instead of a person. The bell rang. Izuku jumped at the sound. Bakugo didn't look away. And the tension between the three of them, Izuku, Dekiru, and Bakugo, settled into the room like a storm cloud waiting to break. Transition. Izuku sat at his usual lunch spot behind the gym doors, on a bench that was always a little too cold, with his bento balanced on his knees. Most kids were grouped in circles, talking, laughing, comparing quirks. He stayed where it was quiet. He poked at his rice and sighed. Gym class is next. Yup, Coach Hardass is gonna love that. Izuku almost choked on a carrot. Dekiru, don't call him that. What? It's accurate. He's strict. He's a JRK who worships Bakugo like he's the second coming of All Might. Izuku winced. You're not wrong, but still. He could already picture it, the coach blowing his whistle through a smirk, declaring some special condition that conveniently made Bakugo look good and Izuku look bad. It had happened before, more times than he wanted to admit. The idea alone made his stomach twist. He's definitely going to be worse now, after the hallway incident. Let him try something. Izuku blinked up at the courtyard sky. Dekiru, please don't say it like you're excited. Dekiru chuckled. Relax, little brother. I don't mean fight him excited. I mean confident. We can handle anything coach throws at us. He pulls a biased rule. We adapt. He tries to embarrass us. We SWCH. Simple. Izuku poked his rice again. But what if something goes wrong? What if we SWCH at the wrong time? What if you get us in trouble? What if he tells us to use our quirk and... Izuku. He stopped mid-ramble. Look at you. You already planned 5 backup strategies in the last 10 seconds. I did? Yes. Your brain is ridiculous. And useful. And I want it in the co-pilot seat. Izuku's cheeks warmed a little. How about this? Dekiru continued. For gym, I take the wheel. You observe. Study everyone. Read the room. Tell me what you see. We work together. Your strategy plus my strength. Deal? Izuku hesitated, then smiled. Deal. He took another bite of rice, feeling calmer. You really think we can handle gym? Absolutely. Bakugo's going to lose his mind watching us. Izuku groaned. Please don't antagonize him. I said nothing about antagonizing. I'm just stating facts. Despite himself, Izuku laughed quietly. He shut his bento and stood as the bell rang for the next PRD. Okay, gym class. We can do this. DMN, right, we can. Let's show Coach Favoritism what the two of us can do. Izuku blushed. Don't call him that out loud. I'll keep it internal. For now. Izuku took a deep breath, squared his tiny shoulders inside his oversized uniform, and headed toward the gym. Transition. The gym doors slammed open, echoing through the room like a warning shot. Coach Sakamoto marched in with his usual swagger, clipboard tucked under his arm, whistle already in his mouth, even though no one had done anything yet. His eyes swept the room like he was inspecting livestock. All right, brats, line up. Everyone hurried into formation. Izuku scrambled into place, sleeves dangling past his hands, breathes a little too long, heart pounding. Remember, breathe. We've got this. Izuku inhaled slowly. Coach Sakamoto planted himself in front of the class, hands on hips. Today, he announced loudly, we're doing combat endurance trials. Several kids groaned. A few got excited. Bakugo cracked his knuckles like he'd been waiting for this moment. Izuku felt his stomach drop. Endurance trials meant sparring. Sparring meant Bakugo getting free rein. And the coach always stacked the rules against him. Coach Sakamoto glanced at his clipboard and then at Izuku with a smirk that was way too pleased. And since some students have recently, developed new abilities. His eyes locked on Izuku. We'll be adjusting today's exercise to properly evaluate everyone's progress. Izuku felt the hairs on his neck stand up. Oh no, he's going to target us. Let him try. I'm itching to stretch. Izuku mentally screamed. Please don't say that out loud. Coach Sakamoto paced back and forth. Today's event is simple. You will be paired up. One attacker, one defender. The defender's job is to stay standing for 1 minute. The attacker's job is to make them fall. No quirks allowed except. He turned sharply. For Midoriya. The class stiffened. Izuku's heart dropped into his shoes. Huh? Bakugo's smirk widened like he smelled BLD. Kirishima muttered under his breath. Dude, that's messed up. Coach Sakamoto didn't care. In Midoriya's case, I want to see whether that transformation quirk of his can be triggered under pressure. Izuku's voice cracked. Sir, I don't think that's. Quiet. Izuku clamped his mouth shut. Coach Sakamoto tapped his clipboard with a pen. To make this fair. Which meant the opposite. Midoriya will face multiple opponents in a row. The entire group erupted. What? That's insane. He just came back from the hospital. Isn't that dangerous? Why is only he allowed to use his quirk? Coach Sakamoto blew his whistle sharply. Silence. He pointed his pen at Izuku like a knife. We need to test the limits of his quirk now. If that means pushing him, then so be it. Hero life is dangerous. Bakugo folded his arms, smirking. Todoroki raised a brow. Some kids stared at Izuku with pity. Izuku trembled. This is unfair. This is really unfair. Izuku. Yeah? Tag me in. Izuku swallowed. I'm scared. Good. That means you're aware. But I'm here. And we are not letting this clown break us. Izuku's breathing steadied. Say the word, kid. I'll step forward. Izuku looked down at his hands, then up at the smirking coach, the watching class. Bakugo's hungry stare. He exhaled. Deku, he whispered inside. Always. Steam exploded off Izuku's body in a hot white plume, swallowing him whole. Several students stumbled back. One girl yelped. The coach even stepped away out of reflex. Then, boom, he grew. Skinny arms thickened with muscle. His back broadened. His height shot upward like someone pulled him from the top. His hair spiked back in that wild, confident sweep. His oversized gym uniform stretched tight across his new frame, thankfully Inko's transformation-friendly clothes held. When the steam cleared, Deku stood tall, towering over the class with a huge grin. He cracked his neck once, rolled his shoulders, and just like All Might let out a joyful, booming laugh. Ha. Now this I can work with. The whole class stared, slack-jawed. Holy CRP. He's huge. Is that Midoriya? He looks like a totally different person. Bakugo's eyes widened. Not fear, confusion, frustration, denial all mixed into one. What the hell? That's not Deku. Deku lifted a hand and gave Bakugo a friendly salute. And good afternoon to you, boom boy. Bakugo bristled. Don't call me that. Deku only grinned wider. He turned to the coach next, planting fists on his hips in a heroic pose. "Coach Sakamoto, I appreciate the challenge," he said, voice booming, charismatic, and way too cheerful for the tension in the room. "Multiple opponents, no breaks? Sounds like fun." The coach blinked. "Midoriya?" Deku winked. "The one and only." The class couldn't believe the shift. Just minutes ago, Izuku was trembling, hunched, apologetic. Now, this version stood with the posture of someone who expected to win. Inside the mindscape, Izuku sat in the back seat in disbelief. How are you so confident right now?" "Because you're amazing, and someone has to show them that. Stop saying cool things so casually." "Never." Deku clapped loudly once, startling half the room. "All right, who's up first? Let's make this a workout worth doing." Even the coach hesitated. He had created a test to embarrass Izuku, but now he was realizing he might have created a spectacle that could backfire on him instead. Deku stretched his shoulders with a smug grin. "Don't worry, kiddo," he said internally. "We're going to ace this, and maybe have a little fun along the way." Izuku swallowed from inside the shared mind. "Fun for you, terrifying for me. That's why we're a team. You think I act? Perfect combo." The room buzzed with whispers, fear, and excitement. Deku cracked his knuckles. "All right, coach," he said, voice echoing across the gym. "Bring on the first challenger." The coach blew his whistle, signaling the start. Deku stepped into the center of the gym with a heroic strut, rolling his shoulders. "All right, who's up first? Don't be shy." The first student, a kid with a minor strength quirk, nervously approached. Deku grinned, stretching an arm. Inside, Izuku shifted instantly. He was no longer frightened. His mind clicked into analysis mode like a SWCH had been thrown. His stance is too square. Right foot forward, heavy heel. He'll rush left. Redirect his weight. Got it. The kid rushed. Deku sidestepped, tapped the attacker's shoulder, and gently guided him to the mat. He didn't slam him, didn't hurt him. He placed him down like a toddler being set in a crib. The class stared. Midoriya did that gently? He predicted the move perfectly. How the heck? The next student came in, someone with long reach and grappling skills. Duck the first swing. Sweep the left leg. Grab their shoulder to stabilize the fall. Deku grinned. "You're getting good at this." He moved cleanly, flawlessly, just enough force to win, not enough to bruise. Student after student came and went. A speed type? Predict the dash. Catch the wrist. Use momentum to spin him safely. A heavy hitter? Stay low. Push the hip. He'll topple himself. A quirkless kid? Be gentler than gentle. Let him feel strong before you take control. Each time, Deku followed Izuku's input perfectly, never cruel, always controlled. Students walked off impressed instead of injured. By the time half the class was down, even the coach was sweating. He had set up this trial to break Izuku's confidence. Instead, Izuku and Deku were showing the entire school a flawless performance of strategy, control, and teamwork. Then came the final name on the list. Bakugo Katsuki. He stomped forward, explosions popping from his palms, teeth bared. His face wasn't smug anymore. It was emotional, raw, twisted, furious. "You." Bakugo growled, pointing a shaking finger at Deku. "You hid this from me. This whole time." Deku raised an eyebrow. "Buddy, this quirk popped 2 weeks ago." "Bullshit." Bakugo screamed. "You were quirkless. You were nothing. You can't just show up like this." Izuku winced inside. He's going to explode. Literally. Let him talk. Bakugo stepped closer, voice cracking with anger he didn't know how to place. "You were supposed to stay below me. You were a pebble. A loser. A nobody. Don't you dare stand there acting like you're better." Izuku flinched sharply inside the mindscape. "Please, Deku. I don't want to hear this anymore." Deku's expression shifted instantly. The smile dropped. His eyes sharpened. "Then you won't." The whistle blew, and Deku moved. Not fast. Not quick. Instant. One moment, he stood 15 feet from Bakugo. The next, he was right in front of him. Bakugo barely got his hands up. Deku grabbed his collar, lifted him clean off the floor, twisted, and drove him straight into the mat. Wham! The sound echoed across the whole gym. Bakugo's eyes rolled back. His limbs went slack. He was out cold. Deku dusted his hands off and crouched beside him, tapping Bakugo's cheek like he was tucking in a toddler. "Sleepy night-night," Deku said, tone playful and condescending. We'll talk when you're less emotional, boom boy. A ripple of shock ran through the room. Someone whispered, holy cow. Another, he made Bakugo knock out. The coach had no words. The class was stunned. Inside, Izuku whispered, thank you. Deku smiled gently, mentally placing a hand on Izuku's shoulder. Always. So, this was the end of this series. Stay tuned for next part of this series, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.